I was in New York City when these guys played with in Central Park. They were introduced by back then by who's the shock jock?
Howard.
Like,
They put that in his movie. They had that
yeah,
scene. It was the edit. It was the end of his of Private Parts.
I was there at the time working with a company that bartered advertising. I don't know if you're familiar with the barter space.
No, I'm not.
So,
But I remember the end of Private Parts for sure.
oh, private parts, yeah. Gotta love a little Thunderstruck from AC/DC.
Heck yeah.
He's not AC/DC. He's not Thunderstruck. He's Ron Carruthers. Couldn't be happier to have you. We had to reschedule a few times, but I'll tell you, this is going to be one of my favorite talks. And it's rare that I say that when it comes to taxes.
I hope I deliver. The pressure's on.
So talk a little bit about some of the things we were just talking about, which was, the tax codes in New York City, New York, New Jersey.
Oh man, California, New Jersey, New York, Chris, are so onerous. Like we were chatting about before we started recording. On top of whatever you have to give the federal government, you can give them up to 14, 15, 16% of what you make. We were talking about how the governor of California is trying to go after anybody that moves out for up to 10 years. New York will actually send auditors to your house to see if the milk in your refrigerator is fresh. And they're tracking cell phone movements. So if you leave one of these places, you have to prove to them that you are out 183 days in the year, or they're going to demand that you pay taxes on both. And like you were talking about Charlemagne the God, because he lives in New Jersey and it shows in New York, both sides want taxes on that money. They nail professional athletes. They do the same thing. You got to give them a chunk. If you play a game in New York, you got to give them a chunk of your game check. Well, I guess you actually play in New Jersey. Got to give them a chunk of your game check.
That's funny. Trevor Lawrence is debating whether he wants to even be drafted by the New York Jets because he just doesn't want to play in New York.
Yeah, and it's the Jets, so there's another reason there. Although I can't even say anything because my Rams lost to them last week.
How the hell did that even happen?
I don't know. But I never thought about throwing a brick through my TV until that game. It's like, really, guys? Come on, man.
I'll be honest. Football this year is just anticlimactic. It's the whole piped-in crowd noise. It's just bad.
It's weird. It's just weird. And some stadiums having fans, and then you watch the Sunday night football whenever they play in Santa Clara. They got to wear their masks. They're sitting 10 feet apart. You still have to wear their masks while they're doing the broadcast. It's weird, man. I don't understand that.
There's no science that says that corona transfers in the outdoors. Like most viruses don't survive well in the outdoors. So all these masks and, keeping people distance at a football game, it literally has no science behind it. It's the most insane thing. It's more for show than anything.
And that's it. It's political theater is what I think.
Oh, it's totally political. Here's the funny thing. Look over here, Corona. Look over here, Corona. And then over here, they're writing these stimulus bills. Hey, this is a stimulus bill for Corona. Well, what does the stimulus bill for Corona have to do with us shipping $100 million to this country for gender assignment? Like, and by the way, when do U.S. taxpayers pay for Afghanistan gender assignment? Like, I lost my mind when I read that yesterday. I'm like, they shoved that into that stack of paper and we were going to approve that?
Yeah, and it got approved. I don't know what's happening in the Senate, but they probably, this is perfectly normal. Or my favorite is page 5099 of the bill, where it discusses the reincarnation of the Dalai Lama and how it needs to be handled. I mean, I don't think there's any money attached to it, but who puts that in there? What are you guys doing?
Well, 100% anyway. It was like Nancy Pelosi. Oh, let's make sure we talk about the Dalai Lama.
and his
I think
reincarnation.
I think politicians are showing how little they care about the American citizen, because when the American citizen, the average American, gets a $600 check that after 10 months of being told, stay at home, don't go to work, the lockdowns will work, 15 days to bend the
Slow the
curve.
curve. Yep.
Yeah. And then after all that, here's $600. What the fuck is $600?
It's actually really interesting because I live in Carlsbad, about 30 miles north of San Diego, and the restaurants in my town were just like, sorry, it's a peaceful protest, we're opening up. And one restaurant put a really nice letter in their window when they reopened. They own 5 restaurants, and they're like, our 130 employees, we cannot lay them off right before Christmas.
It's insane.
And so this isn't a political stance, it's a moral one. And our employees need to get paid. We've served this community for 39 years. We hope to be here another 39 years, but we have to keep our doors open. We cannot sustain our business on takeout.
Do you know Chef Andrew Gruel? He's from Slapfish.
Yeah, I ate at Slapfish the other night in his honor. They don't have them down here. I went up to one by my mom's house. So
yeah, so I've been friends with him for a while. And him and Lauren have really made a lot of noise to put the attention on the restaurant industry, which, to be honest with you, if I can go to Costco or Walmart and be elbows to assholes to a bunch of people, are you telling me that I'm any worse off sitting down having a meal at a restaurant? Are you crazy?
Particularly outdoors, and every restaurant that I know has followed the protocol to make their restaurants safe. They put heaters out and barriers and all that stuff. And he makes a really good point. And like you said, you can go to Costco, Walmart. What the hell? So I don't know, man.
So you've made a name for yourself on Twitter. I followed your tweets for about 6 months now.
Oh, thanks,
and
man.
You give out amazing advice, like really good lessons, life lessons and tax lessons. What made you start doing that? When did you start doing that on Twitter?
I ran into a guy who made his name's Chronicles of Nate, and we started chatting.
Oh, I know Chronicles of Nate. I actually did an interview with him.
Okay, so check it out. Chronicles of Nate, a lot of his teachings are based on Nelson Nash. And somehow he mentioned something about Nelson Nash. Well, I used to speak at a lot of the same events that Nelson would speak at. So we went out to dinner a couple times. You'll appreciate this living in Vegas. Nelson was in his mid 70s at the time. They took us out for speakers to Nobu in the Hard Rock the night before we all spoke. Nelson was
rest in peace, Hard Rock Cafe, or Hard Rock Casino.
And rest in peace, Nelson. At the same time, he passed away last year, but I believe two of us had to carry Nelson out after multiple sake bombs. But Nelson was a big fan of Austrian economics and certain ways of investing and all this stuff. And I got to know Nelson. And it helped that I had lived in Birmingham, Alabama, where he was from. So Nate and I started chatting, and he was like, look, no, I'm getting an audience. People engage on Twitter. And I'm like, no, they don't. They can't. And he's like, no, actually, like, people are signing up for my course and all this stuff. And we discussed numbers a little bit. And in the meanwhile, we've been trying to get something going on Facebook that was just dead. And I'll give you some example. I think my impressions on Facebook last month were 60 to 2.5 million on Twitter. And so I just started putting information out that people responded to, that I appreciated, that someone was actually interested in learning how to lower their taxes or the right way to structure their mortgage or something like that. So it became a really fun environment to do stuff in. And so that was really it. I was grateful that somebody actually saw my threads that I put together, which in Twitter speak is like long, article. It's basically an article broken up into a bunch of tweets. So that was it. And the rest was history.
So what do you do, by the way? I'm assuming you're an accountant.
So yeah, my office does a lot of tax and financial planning. So that's the main theme of my office. And we're different in that we don't just try to focus on people's accumulated money. Like, hey man, you got this Vanguard account, it sucks, you do something different with it. We're like, which is the typical kind of approach.
Shout out to the people at Vanguard.
Yeah, man, we love
your
you
fund
guys.
doesn't suck.
Nothing personal. We have a couple ones that might suck, but you have a lot of good ones too. This is no disrespect. Vanguard's not a sponsor of the show or anything, right?
No. I'm almost sure they're pulling their sponsorship if they were.
Sorry, man. I'll come to Vegas and buy you a couple of drinks to make up for it. But what we really focused on is, where in your life are you losing money without even realizing it, that we can turn around and bring back to the table and put towards your lifestyle and towards your accumulated wealth. And the actual math on this is, if you're putting 6% aside, like let's say you're getting a 6% return on your money, and we can find 1% of your money that you're losing to taxes or to your mortgage or to something, that's like getting a 20% increase on your 6%, because we can add that to it if we take good care of it. And so by being more efficient with your taxes and your mortgage and how you fund your kids' college and all that stuff, and that's really what makes, I think, me different from the typical financial advisor out there. Plus, I like to curse more, I think, than they generally do. And I don't really like wearing a suit. I'll have really nice suits.
Speaking of wearing a suit, there's Jessie in the background.
Yeah, my dog's out here licking her bowl and stuff. She'll bark at some point.
What kind of dog you got?
My wife has a Pomeranian that I do love, but it would not be my first choice, a 7-pound purse dog.
Are Pomeranians still considered a dog, or I thought they were part cat?
This one you would swear, hold on, Star, come here. They're insulting you. Come here. You got to take a look at this. It's not undeserved. She's psycho because we live down by the beach. She loves people, and we have chickens. She loves the chickens, but a dog walks by, she goes absolutely nuts, which is hilarious because she has 3 teeth. So it's not like she's going to do any damage to anybody.
That's awesome. So what are some of the things that you're trying to accomplish in 2021 for yourself?
You know what? We're trying to grow. We're trying to get the word out on taxes. So when you look at, back to this stimulus bill, when you look at just how foolish Congress is with your money and my money, and the Supreme Court has actually ruled on this, you have a moral obligation to pay them the least amount possible. And if you feel bad about it, legally possible, I'll add that, because that's money that you're taking from your family and your lifestyle and your goals. So one of the things, look, obviously I want to make a bunch of money and spend it on fast cars and good whiskey and big steaks and stuff like that. So this isn't totally altruistic. However, my goal is to really make that money while helping people become more financially literate and really understanding how their money works. Because that is one skill that you cannot offload to anybody else. Because taxes, Money Magazine years ago used to give the same information to 50 different tax preparers, all CPAs and enrolled agents, and they'd get 50 different answers back. They never got the same answer twice. And they had a right answer that they deemed was right. And even their answer that they went into it saying, this is what this couple should ultimately owe, is wrong. So taxes are a huge area that we tell people you have.
Have you ever thought about doing a paid group where people can literally connect with you in a paid group and you can ultimately?
Yeah, we have a course right now that ultimately will charge a membership to, but right now they can just go sign up for it. And we extended it as a membership group all through 2021, just as my way of saying thank you to people who trusted me enough to go through and do that.
Where do you host your membership group?
Gumroad, which is terrible. But everybody on Twitter understands it. We have Cardtrade.
We've got a community that we built already up, and you can literally slide in and create a group there where people can have private access to you.
Perfect. We'll have to chat about that offline.
We keep 90% of the revenue, 10% goes for fees and bullshit.
Perfect. Yeah, man, I'll chat with you offline.
Yeah, I think it's good when people can ultimately not only reach you in a private community, but also have the ability to meet like-minded people that are ultimately connecting with you anyhow.
Yeah, no, I absolutely love it. And in teaching the class, Twitter was great because I got the questions of what people wanted, so I could build the course based on the questions I got.
That's awesome.
So anyway, yeah, man, I want to connect with you on
You
that.
know, you stopped your video, right?
I did for 1 second to tell
Oh,
my appointment right after me that we're gonna have to reschedule.
no worries.
So
If you
anyway, man,
got
I'm
short,
enjoying.
if you got short time, we can cut this short in about 5-10 minutes and do it again some other time.
Yeah, man, whatever you want.
Yeah.
But hold on, I just rescheduled them, and then I'm gonna turn my
Okay.
video back on. Dude,
Cool.
but we need to do it again anyways, because I'll be totally set up. I don't think I realized we were going live on this. Man, all of my fancy mic makes me sound like Barry White. My voice drops 3 octaves. It's great. The ladies will love it, man. They'll go crazy. I
Is
plug
Barry
that
White
thing
still
in. I'm like,
alive?
yeah.
Last time I saw Barry White, he was like a skinnier version of himself.
I saw him open for Earth, Wind, and Fire. No, he passed, I think, over a decade ago. He had had a stroke. I saw him after the stroke, but he was still Barry White. He came out and crooned and swooned, and the ladies loved it, and it was a great night. And then Earth, Wind, and Fire came out.
Barry White in his day was you play Barry White, women would just
Heck yeah. And he was a bad man. You read about his life, like he was in the early days where the record companies would totally take advantage of guys, and he'd show up at the record meetings with a gun, like a gun on the table, like, no, we're gonna renegotiate this deal right now. Like, for a guy who was smooth and sang about love, like he was a bad, dangerous man. But anyway, I'm sure he paid a lot of taxes. So we'll bring this back around to the tax conversation.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's funny. You look at some of these really great entertainers, and they may make $5-10 million in a year, but their tax bracket and where they live, especially if they live in California, they get probably, between agent fees and everything else, they probably get more than half of their gross income eaten away from fees and taxes.
Oh, they get, absolutely. My former step-brother-in-law was a front man for a 90s grunge band that got pretty famous. And the business behind it was crazy. They would make a lot of money in a short period of time and then pay a ton of taxes on it. And most of them were foolish with it. So
Yeah.
he wasn't. He was really smart with his money. But yeah, taxes are brutal. So back to,
I won't mention his name, but a guy that grew up with me in Chicago, and they had like 5, I want to say platinum or gold albums in their time. They used to hang out in Beverly Hills, but they lived in a hotel, and they had a great financial advisor that told them, listen, you want to hang out, you want to make the connections you need, rent a room in a hotel and keep your residency in, I think at the time they were all living out of Florida. They moved from Chicago to Florida. And it worked out tremendous for them because they didn't end up paying any taxes to California, but they were in LA all the time at a hotel. And because they were at a hotel, they had constantly all these, groupies coming out to the pool, and they made that whole thing cool.
Yeah, no, it's really smart. The Rolling Stones, a few years ago, 3 or 4 years ago, had to cut their tour short in the United States because they were doing a big extended tour. And if they were here more than 183 days, the United States is like, you owe us tax on all that tour revenue. So they cut some dates out, went back home, and then came back the next year. Taxes are crazy. And again, when you start to see, like we were talking about, where it goes, it's really frustrating. Here's your $600.
Oh my God.
Bark, beg for it. And meanwhile, yeah, the Pakistanis get 400 million to, study gender studies, and the Dalai Lama, should he be reincarnated, we've set aside money for him, or whatever they did over there.
So talk a little bit about capital gains, because what they are today and what they're looking like they're going to be in the next year is going to change dramatically according to.
It will. So first of all, don't hang up on me. I'm still not entirely convinced that Biden will be president. And I'm
telling you now, look, I'm so glad you said that, because I got to tell you something. It's just not adding up. Like, there's just something fishy in Ireland. Like,
yeah,
I mean, they looked at all the registered voters, and it turns out that 13 million people voted for Biden that weren't on the registered rolls.
Yeah. So my family all laughs at me when I say this. And I'm like, look, Trump hasn't conceded as of us sitting here and recording that. Kamala hasn't given up her California Senate seat, which you would think she would do. There's definitely been some election fraud proved, you know, and so, which we kind of all knew was going on for years anyways, but the 13 million not adding up, I don't know that he's going to be president, but let's assume he is.
Well, here's the crazy thing. Even if him and Kamala win, I still don't think he's going to be president for anything more than a couple of days past the whole, hey, let's swear him in.
Yep. I would go, I'm more optimistic if he does get sworn in, it'll be for like a month or two. And I wouldn't put it past Kamala, you know, him having a slight accident, walking down the podium from getting sworn in.
He lets the stuff slip out where he like did an interview and he's like, yeah, you know, if me and Kamala can't come to terms on something, I'll just, you know, come up with some reason to step down because I'm brain dead. Well, what did you just say that? Like,
yeah.
Who says that?
Also, don't forget, before the election, he's like, we have the most sophisticated voter fraud system in history. I don't think he was supposed to say that either. But anyway, right now, capital gains, if you make 52,400 and you're single, and 4,800 and you're married or less, in either of those cases, you pay zero capital gains tax. Anywhere between those numbers and up to like $500,000, you pay about 15% on capital gains. And then anything above that, you're going to pay 20%. So it's much more favorable. And one of the things that Joe Biden has said, which again, I've never seen a politician openly claim like, well, I'm going to raise your taxes. My joke with my clients is like, I'm old enough to remember when politicians lied about that, you know, and I appreciate the honesty, but man, and
well, here's the thing I'm thinking. I've never heard a politician say that. So usually when they lie and they raise the taxes, my theory is if they tell you they're going to raise the taxes, they're going to really raise the fucking taxes.
Oh yeah, and don't forget, like in the 1940s, taxes went as high as 94%, and people like looked at that and were like, oh well, I wouldn't have made the money to qualify to that. Fair enough. But on the middle class, taxes were 4% before World War II, and they jumped up to 23%. And they changed the threshold, so you were paying that 23% way faster. So back to this capital gains things, Biden has absolutely stated that he will raise taxes on capital gains. Now, does that mean, you know, between now and the end of the year, you got a few days left, you should sell off? I don't know yet. Because again, I really don't think he will ever step into office. And then he's got to get Congress to agree with some of this. So, but it does give you, I mean, one tip we tell our clients is like, hey, if you're making money and you want to give your family money and you have appreciated mutual funds or stocks, give them that. If your family's, you know, in a lower income bracket, let them sell it. They won't pay any capital gains tax on it. And heck, if you don't want to give it to them and you still have family that can do that, you might give it to them, let them keep a little bit, give it back to you after they sell it, and they won't pay capital gains tax on it. There's no law that says you can't do that. Again, it comes back to just knowing how taxes work and learning that for yourself and not counting on an accountant, pun not intended, to be there for you. That doesn't mean you should do your taxes yourself. It just means you need to dictate to them. Their job is to get it organized for you and keep you out of trouble. Your job is to know what you can and can't do and not count on them to do it.
I'm telling you, you're a good wealth of knowledge. And I tell you, if you had like a daily video chat with a paid group of like 1,000 people, I don't care what you would charge them on a monthly basis, that weekly chat or that weekly Zoom call would be gold, pure gold.
Man, I appreciate that. I'm gonna do that. I appreciate you. I know what you've accomplished. That means a lot. So we're gonna work on that. We'll add it to 2021.
Got something to say too.
She does. Somebody dared to walk by. Yeah, and I promise anybody that joins that chat, I will spend the money on a big steak, good whiskey, and fast cars.
What's that tree in the background that's got the blooming flowers? Is that
You know what? I'm not really sure. My wife's the one that knows it. That's I have no idea what that one is. I have no idea what that one is. All I know is we paid an arborist to cut that thing, and he gets more than any surgeon I've ever run into. Oh, what's this tree over here?
Oh, that's a pepper tree. It's coming down.
That's a pepper tree. My wife says it's coming down. What's that one?
Oh, that's a jacaranda.
Do you want to be on camera?
Oh, I look horrible.
Say hi, that's Chris.
Hi.
And Chris's
Hello,
audience.
wifey.
Am I sleeping on the couch tonight?
Okay.
All right, she's out.
What's
Hey,
the
by the
weather
way-
like where you're at right now? It's got to be like 65, 75.
68. Yeah, 68.
Man, it looks
Something
great.
like
up
that.
there.
It's gorgeous here. That's the reason we put, I mean, how New York people and New Jersey people put up with this. I'm sorry if you guys are from there. Like, I don't get it, because at least we get reamed on taxes and raped, but we get gorgeous weather in most of the state to go along with it, you know? And so I don't know. Hey, by the way, when am I coming to Vegas?
You know, we've got that event, that dinner. I'm telling you, you just mentioned steaks. Do you eat steaks?
Hell to the yeah.
Okay, so there's a celebrity chef named Barry, and we're doing a dinner for, well, I think it's like 150 people right now. And
All right.
on the menu, we've got he's got like this freezer area that he walks in, and he's got these tomahawk steaks. I'm not kidding you. The actual bone is almost like a small baseball bat.
I
And
love
it's-
that. I buy those.
Yeah, it's
7-pound Pomeranian gets the bone when I'm all done with it, and it's hilarious because the bone's bigger than she is.
so yeah, I gave Jesse one of those bones too. He was pretty happy about it. But you know, if you like those steaks, come speak at the event. You're gonna have people that are in the space, that are out there, you know, just making money and hustling their side hustle. But I think a lot of the people that are out there that are making money, they could use guidance when it comes to how do I manage this money financially so that I can not get hammered by the government.
It was a great quote of Shaquille O'Neal where he went, look, man, it's not what you make, it's what you keep. And if you look at even Warren Buffett, he stated before that he pays a lower effective tax rate than his secretary does because he can afford to hire advisors. And literally the number one tax shelter in the United States of America, the number one, is owning a business.
Absolutely.
Even if it's a side hustle, it's not your home, it's not putting money in your 401k, because that's going to get taxed later anyways at whatever rate they say at that time. It's owning a small business, because then you can write off, you know, cars and other, you know, and mileage and vacations and all kinds of stuff, because you'll always find a way to mix business with pleasure.
Yeah.
So yeah, if that invitation still stands, let me know.
definitely.
I'll win.
Have you are you familiar with Sam and Misty, Gold Coast flippers?
I'm not. I'm running that
I'm gonna
down.
introduce you to both of them. They're in California. Actually, they're in San Diego, so they're like right near you.
They're right down the street from me.
And I did a talk with them. You can find it on the YouTube channel.
Oh, good. I'm gonna
Great
check it out.
couple. Really, I mean, the hardcore hustlers have a great group where they help people learn how to flip everything from gym shoes to you name it on eBay.
Oh, nice.
Probably one of the hardest working people I've ever seen. And I think
Right
those
on.
would be a great connection for you. I'll introduce you to Sam and Misty on Twitter.
Love it, man.
Shout out.
That sounds great.
Yeah, and I think I'll send you some videos of Barry's restaurant where we're having the event at. When you
Nice.
see the food they have on their website,
I'll get a little tear. I get a little tear in my eye.
I'm telling you, it's
Misty eye.
insanely good.
It's so beautiful.
You like wine, right?
Heck yeah.
Did you get a chance to get that Smashberry red wine?
Oh man, I totally forgot. I think I was drinking the night we were chatting on that thing, and I was like, man, I gotta reach out to this guy. There was
I'm gonna show
another
you.
guy that I made dinner plans with that night that I completely forgot about. We actually had dinner last night, Chris. Yeah, Smashberry. I'm gonna buy it tonight. I think I'm supposed to tell jokes or something
So
while
this
he's got a
is-
bottle of wine.
This is the coolest thing in the world. So what they're doing is, this is a Heroes Blend bottle, but if you look the front of the bottle, you could write the name of somebody that you want to commemorate and post a picture of this, and it literally becomes a social media trophy where you honor somebody that you consider a hero.
I love it, man.
And it's
Yeah, I gotta do that. So I'm definitely I'll take
you
care of
know-
that today.
if you know wine, it's grown in the
Pasto's the best. Yeah, I'll tell you something interesting that you may not know. One of my friends owns a restaurant up in Paso Robles. We go there all the time. And he's like a level 3 somm. He teaches wine down at Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. And he was telling me Napa wine, most Napa wine is 50% Paso, because the wine in Paso, and I've absolutely confirmed this, is better than most Napa wine. So they blend in the Paso.
Back on the Heroes blend. Now I got to know what you think.
Yeah, I'll have my bottle. I'm going out of town for a couple days. I'm going to arrange to have it so it gets here right after the holiday when I get back in town.
Yeah, shipping's going to be a little slow probably right now. So we
yeah, no worries.
We got somebody that wants to say hi to you. Gonna say hi to Ron?
What's up? Who's a good dog? Look at that good dog.
He's part Pomeranian. And
yeah, I can tell. The only part he ate is the part he ate. Man,
his dad was a Mastiff and his mom was a chocolate lab.
I walk my Pomeranian down by the beach occasionally, and she definitely is not the manliest of dogs. She's a good dog.
Well, I bet you like dog. Small dogs, she's ready to kill anybody she sees.
Yeah.
for no other reason. The small dogs always crack me up because they're tough as nails. They'll go up to the biggest dog and say, "Listen, motherfucker, I will take you down right now."
We used to have a guy that walked the neighborhood with 4 pit bulls. So he's a professional bodybuilder. He'd wear camo gear while he'd be strutting around, and he had 2 pit bulls on this arm and 2 pit bulls on this arm. And I'd be like, and wearing camo gear. The only thing he was missing was like a bottle of tequila in one hand, swinging shots from, and like the bullet straps and AK over his shoulder. That's the only thing he could do to be more manly than he already was.
He had one more thing, a stubbed off cigar. Just like
hell yeah, that's all he was missing. And my dog would walk and I'd be like, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. And all of a sudden she'd be like, I'll kill you, I'm gonna murder all your families. Like, ah! I was like, God, you are stupid. Pit bulls wouldn't even break stride or look her direction. She was not worthy of their time. You just keep going. Guy never looked over. I'd be like, hey man, I'm sorry, like my dog's an asshole. Like,
well, the funny thing about Jesse is there's a small dog in the neighborhood, and it's like I want to say like a small what's the mini pinchers? The mini pinchers.
Yeah.
His name's Gizmo, and him and Jesse play, but Gizmo every now and then gets into chasing him, and Jesse's like running from him, and it's the funniest thing.
My dog has a golden doodle that belongs to our friends. That's like a 95.
Oh my God! Sam and Misty just had 8 puppies from their golden doodle.
Wait. Sam and Misty aren't secretly named Glenn and Sid, are they? Because my friends just had 8 puppies from their golden doodle, and they flip mobile homes. That's hilarious. I'm like, oh, that's Glenn and Sid.
Now you got to connect all the dots, because that's just even crazier.
Yeah, in fact, they just sold them. They had the puppies 8 weeks ago, so families could pick them up this week for Christmas. And like a former Charger bought one of them, and
that's Sam and Misty.
No, Sam and Misty are definitely younger than my friends Sid and Glenn. And
that's them on Twitter. So I'll give them a tag.
All right, I can't see that. I'll go to the YouTube and find it. But yeah, man, my dog chases the golden doodle, and the golden doodle will run, the mom, and hide, and my dog, like her little tail goes straight up in the air, like that's right, you're scared of me.
Cool. So we've talked dogs, we've talked taxes, we've talked steak. I think we've gotten all the big subject matter out of the way.
Yeah, man. But whenever you want to have me back, you let me know. And
we've talked crazy politics. I mean, it's December 22nd, and we still have a president that says, "Hey, I'm not conceding, and we're not giving this up." You know, it's funny. Barr just the other day, I think it was yesterday, or the day before, said there was fraud. There was voter fraud. Just wasn't enough to overturn the election. I always think to myself, all right, I get it. So we found fraud. We just didn't find all of it.
Man, and I'm reserving judgment. I have a lot of friends that are really disappointed in Bill Barr. I'm reserving judgment to see what happens later. But
I don't think anything's going to happen. He's done in like a day, I think.
Well, no, like what comes out? Like what comes out that he was doing behind the scenes. But it'll be interesting. I mean, we've never had a president not concede this late in the thing. We've also never had 13 million more voters vote than were eligible. So we're in uncharted waters.
The way the social media platforms really inserted themselves into this election in a way where they literally censored the president of our country, which is crazy.
Well, it's foolish because if they lose their Section 230 protections, that's going to open up a lot of, because social media.
Yeah, but that's even crazier too, because if they get rid of Section 230, that doesn't work. That actually works poorly against some of the other platforms. That could be a whole nightmare of shit that just unravels.
Yeah, which could be why they don't do it, and could just be the president rattling sabers. I don't know, trying to get their attention.
Yeah, I think it's like what you just said. Like, I think he just wants this. What the?
Okay, by the way, hold on. She's laying out here, Star sunbathing. There's Star, the wonder dog, making her displeasure known that she's not getting, that people dare to walk in front of her house because she can see
exactly.
door that way. How dare they?
I'm telling you, dogs like that, the small ones, they're the best. They're just like they're invincible.
And what's hilarious is like I mentioned, we have chickens over there. Chickens, she never barks at them. She hangs out with them, won't try to eat them.
You have chickens? Like you have chickens that lay eggs?
Yeah, right there. That's their coop, their chicken fortress.
Wow. So you get fresh eggs every day, or?
I don't yet, because we had them for years. My wife had them. Chris, whatever you do, don't marry a woman that has no children when you have 3 children, because you lose every argument to, yeah, but you have 3 children and there's no comeback from that. Even they're gone, no comeback. So my wife showed up. We were living in La Costa, which is like the really snooty section of town, and it's South Carlsbad. We're in Old Carlsbad now. But she showed up with 10 chickens, and the minute they started clucking and crowing, man, the neighbors were not having. I can't even say that I really blame them. So now you saw we have big field back here. So we have a chicken Fort Knox, and these are all babies, and so they're like 5 months old. So we'll start getting eggs probably in another couple months.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's cool until I'm on a high level, like a business call, and they start fighting, and people are like, whoa, wait, is that chickens in the background? I'm like, here we go.
Dude,
yeah, that's
you instantly become the most awesome accountant ever. You're like, yeah, fighting ring in my backyard.
You know what? That's what I'm going to tell them next time. Hell yeah, I got to make some cash here. I got to make some illicit cash.
Yeah.
And you know what,
want to come over to my house? I got cockfighting every Friday.
The Ozark guy, he already covered the mafia or whatever. The other thing is my wife's half Native American, so I'm like, we had like a bunch of corn this year, and I'm like, I'm gonna put a corn maze in, and then in the corn maze, I'm gonna put a casino, like some slot machines, and then you're gonna come around my back deck. I was a bartender for years, when I was like a young adult. And so I'll make cocktails, and we'll kind of turn this whole place into a speakeasy if they keep all the bars shut down. Like, hey man, now we have cockfighting, we have casinos. I'll put a cigar bar like over in the corner. Like, heck yeah, I like this. I like where this is going. But yeah, it is kind of occasionally embarrassing to be like, well, wait, man, don't you live down by the beach? Yeah, the beach is right there. Well, whose chickens are they? They're mine. They're my wife's.
Dude, you gotta get a rooster. Like, that'll be the best.
We had one. We've had many of them. We actually had Spartacus. He was this big, literally this big, a pound. And he strutted around, and he had 2 little chickens that followed him like backup dancers. They were the same chicken, and they would literally follow him everywhere on either side. But we had a falcon that was swooping in and like stealing the smaller chickens. But yeah, Spartacus was 6 inches high and 10 feet in his own mind.
So when I share this video on social media, I'm just going to say that all we did was talk about cockfighting.
Please do.
You're literally your follower count's going to go through the roof. They're going to be like,
it should.
He talks about tax tips and cockfighting.
Totally. And illegal gambling and a speakeasy, amongst politics and overpaying your taxes and everything else. You can imagine, by the way, I run a coaching group for CPAs, Chris, where I teach them like how to get more clients, and specifically how to use the college rules to get more clients in the off season. And whenever they come on board, you know what the typical accountant is like. So we have to tell them like, look, man, we do things my way around here. And I'm not a typical accountant. I'm not your typical finance guy. We're gonna have a good time around here. And it takes them a couple cocktails to get loosened up, and then they get used to it. But yeah, man, cockfighting. There you go.
Well, Ron, hey, thanks a ton. You coming
Dude,
in
my
January?
pleasure.
We're going to book you. We're going to put you on the
Yeah,
list.
when is it? Just tell me when it is so I can mark it
It's,
off.
it's January 28th, Thursday night.
Done. I'm done. Yeah, I'm
You
there.
come in, flying in during the day. We'll have a great
Yeah, just send me
dinner,
the
great
details where I
talk.
need to book, a hotel, or if it's at a hotel, let me know what hotel so I can book there. Or if not,
I'll
just
get you
let me
all
know
the
what.
I'll get you all the
Please
arrangements.
do.
Get me a headshot. We'll post you on the Eventbrite.
Perfect.
Learned a lot. Love the cockfighting story. I love the fact you got
Dude,
chickens and a
I
Pomeranian.
got a bit. I got a couple business ideas out of that. Everybody wins in this deal.
Are the chickens a tax write-off?
You know what? I'm working on that one. The
Are
flying
there-
lessons are, the car is, pretty much everything else. My trip up to see you is, but the chickens I have not yet attempted to write them off. Although
Are the eggs a capital gain?
you know what? I think I need to do that. Man, eggs. Have you had fresh eggs before? They're so freaking good. They're
I'll be honest
so
with you.
good.
That's when you talked about the chickens, I'm thinking to myself, that dude gets the best eggs. Like
Oh,
your
they're
eggs
amazing.
are the best.
And we don't give them away. Like we'll just crack them, and the like yolks are like bright, bright, bright orange. And the only thing is, a lot of my chickens are smaller because my wife likes the little mini
Oh, so you
chickens.
end up with
So you
little,
get like these, you get a bunch of eggs that are like this big. But if you've ever like, I'm not a crazy whiskey sour guy or amaretto sour guy, but those eggs are the perfect size for making a whiskey sour and amaretto sour because you only need a tiny little bit of egg white to froth the drink. And so these tiny little eggs that are like this big, you just crack them open, get the little yolk out, throw the white in the drink, and it's perfect.
dude, that's awesome.
Yeah, I'll
Well,
make them
hey, he's Ron Carruthers. He is a chicken farmer. He is a tax
fighter,
father of a Pomeranian, and probably the coolest guy you can follow on Twitter.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that, Chris. I really
right,
appreciate that. Let's do it again.
We'll do this again very soon. I will see you in Vegas, January 28th. Book it. You are speaking. You're going to be talking on cockfighting and raising chickens and how to incorporate that into a capital gains subject matter.
Man, I'm scared in Vegas. They might get a whole different idea of sword fighting and cockfighting in Vegas, man. I don't know.
I can see people sitting at the table. Why is he talking about cockfighting?
or, well, this is very disappointing. This is not the cockfighting that I thought we were going to talk about in Vegas.
Hey, check your Twitter. Sam and Misty are probably 20 blocks from you. They are a great contact.
Cool, man. I gotta go find them. I'm gonna go look up for them. Chris, I'm glad we got this done.